All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project, where we find out what it takes to unlock your full potential in every area of life. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that I've brought up in the past, and that is sleep. And the reason why we're talking about sleep again today is let me just give you a little summary on what's going on in my life right now. So, if you currently listen and you're a part of our fitness studio, RTA Athletics, you'll know exactly why I'm talking about sleep. But I own RTA Athletics, and we are doing a New Year, New You 6-week challenge. And my intention for this is that each and every week we have a focus of the week that is something that is a fundamental habit that can change people's health over time. Because, yes, 6-week challenges are fun to do, but we all know that we can't make lasting change in that short amount of time, right? Like if you have a weight loss goal or body recomposition, or we're trying to shift some habits in life, they can't all happen in that quick of a time. So what we're doing as a studio is we have a focus of the week to where we're going to talk about things. So for this week, it's sleep, and we're going to be talking about habits surrounding it, limiting beliefs, different tips and tricks that we can do to implement that and improve our sleep, so that we can take this with us past the 6-week challenge. Like, yes, if you lose some weight, if you get into a better routine, those are all great things. I'm not taking that away from anyone. But for people doing this challenge, if they're able to land a habit each week that they can stick with them, and even if it's the smallest change, and we'll talk about those, if you can take that small change and run with that and build momentum on it after the 6 weeks and continue that in life, it's going to have a snowball effect that will dramatically change the entire outlook of your health and your life as you know it. So, with that being said, if you are a current member and you're listening to this, this will directly apply to you. And if you're not a current member and you're listening to this, this will directly apply to you too, because guess what? If you're a human, you need to sleep optimally to get the most out of your life. So it's just facts, right? That's what we need. And that's why it's one of our foundational habits that we're going to be talking about. So, to start, right, sleep is going to affect your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional well being. Like it affects all parts of who you are and your existence. So, I mean, this isn't a personal story, but I'm sure a lot of us can relate where a part of our life we went out and drank and we partied and we spent late nights just doing things and not just getting sleep, right? And then we have hangovers and we have negative effects of this. Well, I'm sure when we were younger, we might not have been beat up so badly by it. But then when you get a little bit older, like I'm 30 now, if you guys are an adult, right? If you're past like the young 20s, you feel the difference, right? When you don't get sleep or when you're out drinking or just anything's thrown off with your sleep, you can really feel the effects of it. So that's not by accident. That is actually, very important to learn about because our body needs rest. And there's a lot that happens during sleep that's vital to your goals, right? Whether it's weight loss, whether it's clearing up that brain fog, whatever it is, you need optimal sleep. So, on the physical side of things, right? When you sleep, it allows your body to go in and repair and rejuvenate, right? Things like muscle recovery, immune system support. It actually detoxifies and flushes out the fluids in our brain. Like there's a lot that is happening physically when we're sleeping. And if you're exercising, you're tearing muscle fibers, you're depleting your stores of glucose in your muscles and the amount of minerals that your body has. And when you sleep, your body then can go restore that. And especially for the muscle thing, right? When you're tearing muscle fibers in the gym, you need to then have them get rebuilt and put back together so that they can grow. And that's what happens when you sleep. So if we're not sleeping properly, your body's not able to grow muscle, and you're not getting the bang for your buck that you are when you're in the gym. So it's like, hey, you're making the time, you're lifting the weights, but we want to reap the reward of that. And one way we can do that is getting proper sleep. And then also on the physical side, like if you have chronic sleep deprivation, right, like you're not sleeping well over a long period of time, that's going to increase your risk for heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and a whole bunch of other things. So that's the physical side. Then we have the mental health, right? it's going to support your brain function, your memory, and your learning. So, like I said, when you're sleeping and you're in that, deep sleep, your body's able to flush out the toxins in your body, and actually, it's like a spin cycle for your brain. It focuses the brain and gives it all of the detoxification that it needs, so that you can have proper memory. Your learning capabilities are higher, and your brain is not experiencing that brain fog like so many of us have, right? And then also on the mental side of things, when you have poor sleep, that's going to contribute to symptoms such as anxiety, depression, and difficulty focusing. So if while I go through all of this stuff, if light bulbs are going off, continue to pay attention, because I'm going to break down some of the things that we can do today and this week to help improve our sleep. So if you're dealing with these symptoms, stay with me. And then the other thing is hormonal balance, right? Sleep's going to regulate your hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. So, a lot of us don't want to feel like we're starving all the time, because we want to have a regular appetite where we're not overeating and consuming things late at night. Well, guess what? If you are severely sleep deprived, that's going to cause those symptoms, those hunger hormones, to be heightened, right? I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times where I'm tired and I just want to eat a snack, right? Like, you feel like that snack is going to give you that burst of energy, and that's why, because of those hunger hormones, which over time, if that happens too much, can impact your weight. If you're constantly overeating or eating the wrong things, when I say the wrong things, I mean things high in sugar and processed foods. But if that happens over time, that's how we gain weight, right? And then another big one is your cortisol levels, right? So growth hormone and cortisol levels are directly impacted by your sleep quality. And we're going to go a little bit more into cortisol, because I want to talk about circadian rhythm next. So if you've never heard the term circadian rhythm, well, just know that as humans, we are diurnal creatures, which means we want to wake up when the sun comes up, and we want to go to sleep and rest when the sun goes down. You might have heard nocturnal, right? That's what bats are. That's the opposite, right? So we're diurnal creatures. And your circadian rhythm is your body's natural 24-hour internal clock, right? So it's the sleep and wake cycles that your body needs to be on for optimal performance and to lead to your healthiest life, right? So the best thing to do is not the best thing to do. The best way to understand this is just the sun, right? When the sun is up, we should be up. When the sun is down, we should be down. So when we have disruptions in our circadian rhythm, it throws our whole body off, because the circadian rhythm is going to tell your body when its digestive system should be operating properly or when it should shut down. For example, when it's nighttime and when it's dark outside, your body wants to go into rest and digest and to start clicking on all of those functions to then go detoxify your body, heal your muscles, and repair. But if we're eating food, it has to then go digest food first, right? So now it's digesting food instead of doing those other things, which leads to a compound effect of not the best digestion, not the best sleep and recovery, right? So then we're not allowing our body to do what it needs to do, right? So when it comes to your circadian rhythm, that's also based off of your cortisol levels. So cortisol, the way it works is it's your stress hormone. So it's supposed to be at its highest peak about 30 minutes after you wake up. So cortisol actually starts to raise up, and that's actually what wakes you up. Like if you didn't have an alarm clock and you were sleeping, your cortisol rising in the morning is what wakens you in the morning. So it should be at its peak about 30 minutes after you wake up. And then it goes on a slight decline throughout the day until you get to nighttime, where it, is at its lowest point, and then that allows you to get back to sleep. So why that's important is because if we have a dysregulated cortisol throughout the day, that's going to throw off our circadian rhythm. That's going to throw off our rest and digest signals. That's going to throw off when we're getting deep, restful sleep. And then that's going to lead to those symptoms like I talked about, like brain fog, fatigue, and some weight gain, right? So back on the cortisol situation, we have situations where we wake up and our cortisol is at its highest, and we do things like exercise or drink coffee, which is a stimulant, right? And that's going to further jack up our cortisol, right? So that throws us off the regular pattern. And then we go throughout the day, and maybe you start to crash in the middle of the day because you didn't stabilize your blood sugar in the morning, you had that coffee, and now cortisol is starting to tank in the afternoon. And then all of a sudden, we drink that Red Bull or that fourth cup of coffee of the day and get a quick little burst. But guess what? Coffee doesn't give us energy. All it does is tell our brain to say, I'm not tired anymore. It just shuts off a signal. So it's not actually giving you energy. What it's doing is telling your brain to stop thinking about tiredness anymore so you feel like you're energized. But when that wears off, then you crash again, and the caffeine interrupts your circadian rhythm because it has about 10 to 12 hours to flush through your body. So if we're drinking caffeine later on in the day, well, then guess what? That's still in our body as we're trying to wind down at the end of the day when our cortisol is supposed to be nice and low and get ready for bed and deep sleep. The caffeine's still in there interrupting things, keeping our heart rate elevated, and not allowing us to actually fall into a deep sleep. Now, I know you might say, I could drink a cup of coffee and still be tired. And that might be true, right? I'm the same way. I feel like I could drink a cup of coffee after dinner and go right to sleep. Being unconscious does not mean that you're getting deep quality sleep. That there's a big difference between resting and restoring your body and doing what your body needs to do and getting deep REM sleep versus just being unconscious. So trust me, even if you have a high caffeine tolerance and you drink some coffee or a Red Bull or something later at night and still close your eyes and become unconscious, you're still not getting the benefit of what your body is doing while you're sleeping, right? And that's what we want. So the term sleep hygiene comes to mind, right? We talk about our oral hygiene, our body's hygiene. We want to stay, we want to shower daily. We want to use deodorant, brush our teeth. We do all of these things for our hygiene, for our body, so that we don't stink and that we don't grow any fungus or anything on us. But where do we get our sleep hygiene, right? We don't really talk about this a lot. And that's a term that I want you guys to start adapting and thinking about so that we can create better routines surrounding our sleep. This way we can optimize all of the effects that sleep gives us. And just to reiterate, if I haven't talked about this enough, sleep is free, right? We spend most of our life doing it, and it is the best drug on the planet, right? It's a drug that helps us lose weight. It helps us burn fat. It helps us detoxify the body. It helps us build muscle. Like all of these things, there's a laundry list of things that sleep does. And literally it's free and you have access to it every single night. So, we always search, which supplements should I be taking? Which cool workout plan should I do? Give me a meal plan. Like, tell me all these details, right? That's all a bunch of nonsense if we're not getting sleep. And it's free and we need to optimize it. So guys, this is why I'm putting all these details and I'm making it such a point, because you can do all of those other things. And I'm not telling you not to, but if we're not getting the sleep, you're not going to get as much out of it, right? Right? If you're eating these different foods on your meal plan, but you're not sleeping at all, well, guess what? Your energy levels are tanked. Your cortisol is all dysregulated. All of our other hormones are probably going to be out of whack. Our melatonin's low. That's going to decrease our immune system. And then we are dealing with a whole slew of other problems, and then the meals don't even matter at that point. So this is back to what I was saying, that how important this sleep hygiene is. So here are some things that I'm going to break down for you guys that you can do today for free that are going to dramatically improve your quality of sleep. So the first thing is to stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Now, I'm not just saying this from myself, but this is proven in mass studies across millions and millions of data points that the professionals and the scientists and all of the studies have shown this is the number one thing you can do to get proper sleep. Now, I'm going to give you a list of a couple, but this is the number one thing you can do, is to go to sleep and to wake up around the same time every single day, even on the weekends. So if you're like, hey, I can really only get 7 hours of sleep, well, then you better make sure they're consistent 7 hours. Because if you go to bed at 9 o'clock and wake up at 6 a.m., right? But then the next day you're going to bed at midnight and then waking up at 10 a.m. It might be the same or more sleep even, but if it's not consistent, you're not going to get the most out of it. So what we can do is start to analyze our schedule and be realistic with ourselves, right? Like if you're like, "Oh man, I'm all over the place. Like, I have a pretty consistent schedule during the week, but then when the weekend comes, it's, balls to the wall. I'm going out, I'm partying, I'm doing whatever. I'm staying out late. I'm watching drama series until 2 a.m., binging Netflix, whatever it is, right? You can take an approach of a little adjustment, right? Let's say during the weeknights, you're pretty good and you're like, I get to bed by 10 p.m. and I wake up at 6. Cool, that's great. But then on the weekend, if you're going to sleep at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning because you don't have work in the morning, well, we can see from all the stuff that I just listed off on how important it is to prioritize that. Even though you don't have work and you're like, let's take advantage of it and stay up, you will benefit, your life will benefit more by getting to bed earlier. So I'm not trying to tell you to just jump from, those 1 a.m. nights back to 10 p.m. on Saturday and Friday night just because I said so. But what you can do is maybe do 15 or 30 minutes earlier. So what I like to tell people is to have a bedtime alarm. We all set alarms in the morning to get up so that we can go to work or do whatever else we have to do in the day, but we never set an alarm at nighttime. So let's say you typically go to bed on the weekends at midnight and you want to go to bed at 11 o'clock. You're like, I can do an hour earlier. Well, then figure out how long it takes you to get ready for bed, whether it's, you brush your teeth and shower, maybe you journal, maybe you like to read, whatever your nighttime routine is, that's yours, right? But let's say it takes you 30 minutes and you want to get to bed by 11 o'clock instead of 12. Well, then guess what? 10:30, that alarm goes off. That means whatever you're doing, whatever show you're watching, whatever plans you have, you need to be ready to be home by 10:30. But if you're at home just watching TV, the alarm goes off at 10:30. You take your 30 minutes to go brush your teeth, shower, do whatever you got to do, and then you're in bed by 11. So one thing that I would say for the consistent sleep schedule is to start the nighttime alarm, right? This is going to give you a trigger to then start your nighttime routine and be in bed. And it's helped me, right? I know that when I get done work, I get to eat dinner and watch a little bit of TV, right? But I know that the next day I got to get up. And if I want to feel good and get an okay night of sleep, I got to stop at 9 p.m. So at 9 p.m., that's my trigger to say, hey, got to put the dishes away, got to go brush my teeth, got to get settled for bed and do what I got to do. So that's my nighttime alarm. Next is to limit screen time before bed. So again, I know I just talked about, watching a little bit of TV, and being on our phones, and we have screens all around us, our iPads, our watches, our phones, and our TVs and our computers, right? We have screens all over the place. But the reason why you want to limit your screen time before bed is a couple things. The light that comes off of the screens is going to suppress your melatonin production. So melatonin is the hormone and the chemical that is produced to then allow you to fall asleep, right? It goes hand in hand with cortisol, right? When cortisol is high, melatonin is low. So and during the daytime, cortisol is higher and melatonin is suppressed. But at nighttime, cortisol should drop and melatonin should rise and allow you to sleep. So when we're on those screens, you're suppressing your melatonin from increasing, right? Which is not allowing us to wind down and then naturally fall off onto sleep. So if you're someone who's watching these horror films or these dramas, or you're scrolling on TikTok and getting stimulated, you are on these blue screens, this blue light from the screen, and then you just want to just put your phone down and think you're just going to go to bed. Your body's like, what the heck? I didn't have any wind down time, right? So avoiding those screens and dimming your lights. Back to what I was saying about your circadian rhythm, how we work off of the sunlight. Well, if you notice at nighttime, the sun's either low or gone, right? It's dark out. So you want to limit or dim your overhead lights. So install a dimmer or turn those overhead lights on and maybe put on a lamp if you want to relax at nighttime. That's going to allow your body to increase its melatonin and start to get ready for bed. So a couple things that you can do are you could do blue blockers, right? Blue blockers block the blue light from the screen. So if you're watching TV at nighttime, you can do that on almost all phones. I know iPhones do it, is they have a nighttime mode where it turns it to like a more dim, like yellowish light, which will stop that from stopping your melatonin, right? So you can then see your screen without it affecting your melatonin. And then another thing is you can set a time for that too, like a time to watch TV and a time to not. Again, let's say you're going to bed at 10 p.m. and instead of being on your phone until all the way up until 10, maybe you say, you know what? Phones are off an hour before bedtime. So at 9 o'clock, you see, you're scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, and 9 o'clock comes, you put your phone down and just let your body wind down. Give your mind a rest and allow your body to actually get settled and prepared for bed. Then number three is create a relaxing bedtime routine. So this kind of ties in with some of the things that was just referring to with the screen time and you're setting your nighttime alarm. But nighttime should be calming and relaxing. You don't want to be stimulated because then that stimulates your cortisol levels and your stress levels, which, like we said, are heightened during the day to keep us awake and should be lower at nighttime. So if your cortisol is nice and low and you're doing something extremely stimulating, right, it's going to throw you out of whack and you're not going to get good sleep. So creating a relaxing bedtime routine is crucial. Things like reading, meditation, taking a warm bath or a hot shower, doing some journaling, right? Anything that you can do that is a calming situation, right? Like, I don't really take baths, but I can imagine how great a warm, like hot tub would, if you have a hot tub, going and sitting in there and chilling for a little bit. Um, Reading, you can always sit in bed and read. That honestly, I'm the type of person where if I tried to read at bedtime, it would put me to sleep, right? I couldn't even keep my eyes open, so I don't like to read at nighttime, but it would put me to sleep. And then meditation, right? Either doing a guided meditation or just focusing on your breath. Like, let's say you did all your stuff, you're in bed, and you start learning like a guided meditation or focusing on your inhales and your exhales. It's kind of like counting sheep, right? It takes your mind off of the crazy stuff that goes on in life and brings you back to center and allows you to fall into a sleep. It also, by meditating and focusing on your breath, takes your body and it puts it into the rest and digest mode. So that's your parasympathetic nervous system, and that helps get stimulated by taking deep belly breaths. So having that relaxing bedtime routine. Now, a lot of you ladies out there, if you like to take baths, I would do it at nighttime, right? Get your Epsom salt that has magnesium in it, right? Get that going in the bath, and then what you can do is just soak in that for a little bit. So not only is the warm temperature going to help, but the magnesium is going to get in there, and it's going to inhibit you to sleep in a much better environment. Now, the warm temperature, why that's a part of the relaxing bedtime routine, is because it lowers your core body temperature, right? So we need to be at a lower core body temperature to get optimal sleep. So the warm exposure does that. So if you have a sauna, if you have a hot shower, if you have a hot tub, or even a warm bath, those are all things that can help with a relaxing bedtime routine. Next is to optimize your sleep environment. So your room should be your like not a cave, but that should be your sleep like headquarters, right? There should be no other things happening in the bedroom. So if you can, we got to eliminate electronics, we got to eliminate lights, and we got to eliminate the temperature. We have to regulate the temperature. So some things that you can do are remove the TV from your room. We can remove electronics from the room. And the reason being is two things. One is if you have a TV in your room and you're watching it when you should be getting ready for bed, that's going to stimulate you. Number two is that the EMFs from the electronics being plugged into the wall keep your body in fight or flight. So if you've got the TV on, if you've got the phone plugged in right next to your bed, if you've got all different types of things plugged in, your Wi-Fi router, right? All of those EMFs are invisible, but they're electromagnetic frequencies that are going to interrupt your body and keep you in fight or flight and not allow you to get deep sleep. So we can either remove or unplug all of the electronics in the bedroom. The other one is to adjust the thermostat. Like I was saying about your core body temperature, it's got to be lower at night. So we want to lower the thermostat to between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's optimal sleeping temperatures. And if that's a little cold for you, obviously use your blanket. But that's what needs to happen at nighttime. So the warm bath is warm on your external skin and your temperature there. So what your body does to compensate is downregulate your internal temperature to lower that. So you just did that in the warm bath. Now you got out and you're in a cool room, and that's going to keep your body temperature at a lower rate, and it's going to optimize your sleep. And then dark, right? You don't want light coming in from your windows. If you don't want the blackout curtains, like in my room, for example, I don't have blackout curtains because I don't like the look of them, right? But guess what? I have a gas station like not too far from our house, and they keep these bright lights on at nighttime, and they do come through my window. So I bought a sleep mask, and it's been a game changer, right? Like I never in a million trillion years thought I'd be a guy wearing a sleep mask at nighttime, but I'm here to tell you it will change your life, right? This thing, I just pop it on, and guess what? The world goes goodbye. It is completely pitch black dark. I can sleep sound, and it's nice for, maybe in the daytime if you need to grab a quick nap or something like that, you can put that on and you don't even have to worry about it. So, eye mask. The next thing is to limit your caffeine and alcohol. Like I was saying earlier about your caffeine, it takes about 10 to 12 hours for your caffeine to totally get out of your body. So it's got, a couple hundred grams of caffeine in a couple cups of coffee. I believe one cup of coffee is 90 grams of caffeine. So if you're having a couple of those or Red Bull or you're drinking energy drinks, it's going to take about 10 to 12 hours for it to fully cycle out of your body, which means if you do the math and you want to get to bed at 10 p.m., well, then you need to cut off caffeine before noon, right? Or even earlier. That's why your coffee should be, solely done in the morning. And then in the afternoon, you got to go just water or other beverages, because even if you're someone who can be unconscious after you've had caffeine or a soda or a coffee, it's still affecting your body. So we need to limit your caffeine. And then same thing with alcohol. Alcohol disrupts your sleep quality no matter what, guys. So like, I know people try to fight for alcohol, and it might not be the devil, but if we're trying to really live our healthiest life, and we say that we've tried everything to maybe lose weight or do X, Y, and Z to improve your symptoms, and you're still drinking alcohol, I would say that's got to be one of your first things, right? It is literally your body has to detoxify it out of your body, right? Through the liver. It's technically a poison to your body. Your body doesn't want any parts of it. So if we're having trouble with sleep and we're drinking alcohol, that could be something to start to either cut back or eliminate from your life. I promise you, you will enjoy the benefits of that one. And then the last one that I'm going to talk about is natural light exposures early in the day. So back to our circadian rhythm, we want to wake up in the morning with the sun. Our cortisol levels are higher. The sun is rising, right? Which means we need to go tell our body that's what's going on. So one of the best things that you can do is to get outside and get some natural sunlight on your skin and in your eyes first thing when the sun comes up, right? So everyone's schedule is different. You can be by a window. You can put on some clothes if it's cold outside and go out there. But your eyes are like clocks, right? So the sunlight actually goes through your eye, and that's how you absorb most of your vitamin D, through your eyes with the sun. But it also regulates your circadian rhythm and says, hey, it's morning time. We're getting ready for the day. I should have energy now, and sets your internal clock for the entire day. So in addition to your nighttime routine, in the morning is really when your sleep starts, right? If you want optimal sleep, it starts in the morning by getting outside, getting that 10 to 20 minutes of sunlight, shoot, even if it's 5 minutes sitting by a window, you got to do something to start setting that circadian rhythm and that internal clock. Um, Guys, so I know this was a lot, and I was going off on tangents on some of the things, but my hope for you is that you can take one of these things, maybe two, and start to implement them in your life today, right? Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to say, well, Sean, give me a list of like 6 to 7 things. It's going to be great. I'm going to do them all. No, maybe re-listen, write down which one landed with you the most and what is available to you at this moment, and start to make that change. We want to make big changes, but like I said, if you're someone who goes to bed at 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. and you think you're going to go to bed at 9 tomorrow, it's not going to happen, right? You're going to have so much resistance against that you're not going to be consistent with it. So find something from what I just went over, something that you can say, you know what? Yeah, I can do this tonight. No problem. These are all free. These are all accessible to you, and just a mindset shift. It's one mindset shift away for you guys to start implementing these into your life and reaping the benefits. So I hope that helped you. If it did, all I ask is that you please share the show, right? Text it to a friend, put it on your social media so that other people who need to hear this can hear this message. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, right? I post these every Tuesday at 5 a.m. So if you're someone who wants to learn more about how to optimize your health and your life in general, then make sure you subscribe so that you can hear every single week. But thank you guys so much for listening. I can't wait to keep talking about these topics week by week for this challenge, and I will talk to you guys next week.